Do you want to discover subclasses, spells, and other player options from the world of Tanares? Do you want over 200 pages of monsters designed for the Feywild? Do you want over 30 ancestries and cultures for your D&D characters to choose from? Well, books that offer a yes answer to all these questions and more await you in the latest episode of D&D New Releases. Let's get started. Hi, it's Splinterverse. Welcome to another episode of D&D New Releases, where we offer first impressions of new third-party products for Dungeons & Dragons. We cover a selection of titles from Dungeon Masters Guild and Drive-Thru RPG each week. The titles are presented in alphabetical order, and all of them are linked in the video description. Purchasing the books using those links helps the channel, but you can also support us by purchasing one of our best-selling books. Our newest release, Dragonlance Companion, offers 180 pages for players and DMs to bring the magical world of Krynn to life. And like many of our books, it's available in hardcover and digital format. Our Swarms of the Multiverse offers over 70 brand new creatures, including their associated swarms, instructions on how to make your own balanced swarms, and lots of bonus materials such as 4 new demiplanes. Our Feywild Companion offers 150 pages of Feywild fun for players and DMs alike. Also, our book, Fizban's Vault of Draconic Secrets, contains over 50 pages of dragon-themed player options, including a subclass for each class and much more. We've got lineages suitable for any setting, as well as optional lineage rules in our Van Richten's Librum of Lineages. With our Potions Unlocked book, we have over 100 pages of material to take potions to the next level in your game. Please support the channel by purchasing our books using the links in the video description. First up, we have 200 Spelljammer Noncombat Encounters random tables from Ben Doherty, James John, and Duncan Thompson. Is $3 for 7 pages. And it's got a ton of D20 tables to help you make Spelljammer come to life at your table. It looks like they've got Wild Space, so you get Wild Space, Asteroids and Moons, Astral Seas and Dead Gods, City and Commerce, Ships and Captains, Space Events and Anomalies. And then there's several bundles, if you scroll down, that you might want to consider when purchasing these. We've looked at several of the other titles from this group, and they're all very good, with a lot of encounter options and tables for you to roll on. So if you're a fan of that, I definitely would encourage you to look at these bundles down here. So let's take a look inside. So right off the bat, we've got the Wild Space table, and we're just going to pretend to roll a few numbers here. So we'll pretend to roll a 1 first. It says a lunar dragon corpse is adrift with luminous fungi growing inside it. So that would be something to encounter. And again, these are non-combat, right? So these are just things that you sort of bump into, stumble upon, etc. Another one, if we roll a 7, is a bisected bombard is abandoned. 1/2 is covered in jammer leeches. So again, there's going to be references to the Spelljammer box set, maybe help you get some further use out of the creatures and things in there. Moving on to the Asteroids and Moons table, it says asteroids and moons are places for hidden bases, space ruins, hermits, mining operations, and secret pirate meetings. If we roll a 1, we get a starving vampire captain lays marooned on a lonely asteroid after suffering a mutiny. They beg for rescue so they can exact revenge. I mean, that could be a whole story, especially, it says non-combat, but especially at first, maybe you don't realize that this vamp is a vampirate captain. So eventually you're going to have to deal with the fact that it needs blood or whatever, and is it going to attack the party, etc. But there's all kinds of stuff in here. I mean, Dead Gods, Astral Sea, City and Commerce, Space Merchants, Ship Encounters, Anomalies. So like number 1 on the anomalies is the ship's atmosphere ripples and thickens briefly, dragging a gravity bubble for a few days. Its gravity flips as reverse gravity at random. So that could be interesting for a ship to deal with as you're riding on a Spelljammer through wild space. Another one, number 20 on the space anomalies, a shadow dragon casually keeps up with the ship, introducing itself but no interest in vanity or wealth, mostly just seems to like conversation. So again, that could be the start of something. Maybe the dragon does have a nefarious goal that they're trying to lure the party into a false sense of security, or maybe they're just a red herring, or maybe they're just an NPC. Maybe they're going to be able to give, because they like conversation, maybe they're going to be able to give the party some directions on where to go, or who to talk to or something. So could be really interesting. I like it. It's only $3 for all of this, and it's under 200 Spelljammer non-combat encounters, and the links below in the video description. Give it a click. Next we have By the Light of the Whispering Flame by Aaron Hedegaard, and it is $8 for 68 pages, and it says wield sword, spell, and sacred fire as you delve into the depths of a scarred city. So this is for OSR, and it's also compatible with Worlds Without Number and other old school fantasy role-playing games. It's designed for 3 to 5 players, starting at 1st to 3rd level. It says more than 90 points of interest spread out across 9 modular districts, because this is a point crawl adventure. Designed to be played as an interconnected mini mega dungeon, but the GM can also run individual districts as one-shot urban adventures. Extensive background and rumor tables, special rules for wielding the Whispering Flame, a sacred artifact capable of pushing back the corrupting darkness. All kinds of good stuff, and wonderful art in here. You can see really cool art immediately on the very first page here. It says the city of 𝙤𝙤 and gives you 9 items, and you get just this beautiful black and white illustrations in here at the different points of interest. The 9 different points of interest each has a picture, which is really cool. So you can kind of get an idea. It gives you an approach, which we'll probably read in a minute. And then you get the introduction, starting out, all the different districts. And I mean, everything is just so well illustrated. The setting rules, different areas, major events that are going to happen, even an NPC generator, which I always love random tables like that. It says the Sericulture District. It says the art of farming silkworms to produce silk threads. So even if you want to just take some of the background information and put it in a 5th edition campaign, you can, or play it as is with OSR or Worlds Without Number. There's so many options with this. I mean, it's 68 pages, so you're going to get so much material. I'm just scrolling through so you can see some of it. And the nice thing is you can read the whole book here in the preview, because they're showing all 68 pages. And I love how they have these little point maps at the start of each of the sections for the different quarters. So you can go from one point to another if you want to follow that. But yeah, tons and tons of artwork and material. I'm just scrolling real fast here to show you how great it looks. And then here at the very end, you get everything all on one map for the whole city, all the different quarters. So again, lots of use. Even if you don't play Worlds Without Number or OSR, I mean, you can never have enough cities that are populated with details, etc. So let me just read the approach section. It says, time stands still over the distant city. Steam and smoke from the fires of industry idle undisturbed on the air, never dispersing. Distant waves rise and threaten to crash on the serrated coast, but vanish once near the city's port, where the waters rest uneasily, chaotic and sharp like shattered glass. The once grand city center is no more, now a mere crater in the earth. Perpetual twilight enshrouds the city. The once bustling metropolis is now of another world, except for one point. On the southwest corner, a cathedral rises, from which silvery smoke billows out of a central chimney. Approach from any other angle, and the buildings evaporate like mist. Nothing of substance except bare earth and coastline. But from the cathedral, the city opens. It is a city beset by cataclysm, a city unstuck from time and space, a city in need of light and heroes before it vanishes altogether into nowhere. And the things from nowhere rise to take its place. Welcome to 𝙤𝙤. So it sounds really cool, you know, this sort of city enshrouded in this darkness, and you've got this nowhere peeking through, and what are you going to do? So yeah, some of this you may not be able to use everywhere, right? Because it's got that going on, but you can play it as is. I think is going to be the best way to use this. But I always like to talk about multiple ways to use it so that you get more value for your money. I mean, even taking some of these events. So the major events. The first one is adventuring scholars remove the purple eggs from Sericulture District cold storage. 2 Burrower worm swarms are now on the loose around the cathedral. So yeah, you could make some stat blocks for 5e or use the ones here for OSR and have some burrower worm swarms running through, although that would be hard to say a bunch of times, although you probably don't need to say the name a bunch of times. And like I said, you can make your NPCs with this. Here's the Cathedral of the Whispering Flame. I mean, look at how much information you're getting just on that. At least looks like 2 pages full on just that. The Sericulture District, getting quite a bit on that. Plot hooks, like it says a screaming scar formed near the lair of the queen. Healing it would weaken the sway of nowhere. So yeah, I think this is going to be so fun to adventure through, because you've got this, most cities you just have the threat of like the criminal guilds and, you know, nefarious people in there, but this has this whole otherworldly element that you're going to have to deal with. I mean, this art makes it look so cool. Look at this. So yeah, you gotta come here and at least scroll through and look at the art and see if it's going to work for you. It's only $8, which I think is a great price for something so beautiful and with so many pages. So look for it in the links below under By the Light of the Whispering Flame and give it a click. Next we have Dungeon Crawl, The Mermaid's Cove, which is both for 5th edition and 3.5 edition. And it's for characters of level 3 for 5th edition and level 6 for 3.5 edition. And it's from Dragon's Horn Studios, $5.95 for 32 pages. It says, hidden between the cliffs and sea stacks located near the small seaside village of Salt Barrel, the Mermaid's Cove served as a pirate hideout for many years. The tides of fate seem to have turned, however, as pirates are nowhere to be seen and rumors about the even greater evil lurking in the cove are starting to spread. So, sounds like an interesting place to visit. It says the Mermaid's Cove is a one-shot dungeon crawl, and I guess you can use it with Pathfinder as well, since it's 3.5 in addition to 5th edition. Featuring new monsters and a multitude of obstacles for players to overcome. It can be easily dropped into any adventure as a point of interest. And it says undead pirate themed. That's really cool. 6 new monsters with tokens, 2 new fully illustrated magic items, and you can get the VTT version in a bundle for $9.95. So that's cool. Let's look inside. This map is just really cool looking. I love the look of this, the detail on it. I love how it's you can really see stuff. Sometimes with VTT maps, it's just, I don't know if it's just pixelated or what, but it's really hard to see the detail. I feel like this one, it's really easy to see, you know, the skeleton sort of lounging there and this nest of stuff. So, and this is called Outside the Cove. So I love that. And then here you can see the table of contents, everything, including appendices with the different stats for 5th edition, Pathfinder 2nd edition, and 3.5 edition. So there's actually 3 editions here. You get 3.5, 5th edition, and then Pathfinder, which is sort of a deviation from 3.5. So that's awesome. Lots of options. I really love when publishers do that. It gives you so much more for your money. You never know if you're going to stay with an edition, or if you have a friend that only wants to play a certain edition. This opens up those possibilities for only $5.95. So you got a synopsis, running the adventure, running in multiple systems. It talks about that. Scaling the adventure, treasures and discovery. So let's look at some of the synopsis here. It says, discover the location of the caves and have to descend the cliffs fighting harpies whose nest is on the cliff. So that's the beginning. And then it says you enter the caves by going through a destroyed ship and past a ruined storage area where they fight undead pirates. After a small earthquake cuts their escape path off, they proceed forward into the dungeon. It says go through the pirates' camp where they fight more undead pirates and their captain, after which they discover the entrance to an ancient temple of Thetis, the goddess of the seas. And I won't spoil the ending, but it sounds fun. I mean, all that pirate goodness, caves, I mean, so many good things can happen with this. I love it. So I want you to look for it. In the video description links is under the Mermaid's Cove. Oh, well, actually, it's under Dungeon Crawl, the Mermaid's Cove. Give it a click. Next, we have Further Ancestries and Cultures from Arcanist Press. It's $4.95 for 38 pages, and this is part of a series from Arcanist Press that really takes a look at the race concept in 5th edition and redoes it. So instead of a race, you pick an ancestry and a culture, And this series has been extremely popular, well received. It's gotten a lot of great reviews, and this is the latest volume in that series. So it's it's had a lot of people playing it and using it. So at this point in the series, it's refined and it's got to be working, or they wouldn't still be going. So that's always a great vote of confidence, is a series like this that's been around a long time. And you can get the past versions. It looks like there's been 4 of them in a bundle with this one for $23.16, which is really cool. That's a really good deal to get all of the ancestries. So you can get to that through our link as well. But there's 31 new ancestries and cultures in this one, including the Pandan, Manticorian, Capybaran, and more. It says, play a character of one ancestry raised in a different culture, like an orc raised by elves. Play a character of mixed ancestry, like a child of a gnome and a halfling. And that's what is really cool about the series, is it really leaves it up to you and your dungeon master to figure out what makes the most sense. Because why couldn't you have an orc raised by elves? Why does it have to be that your racial traits are just elven, or just human, or half orc, where you've got a mixture? But still, like, it just doesn't. I mean, there's not half everythings, right? So I like that they've really tried to do something different with the series and give a more realistic option. And I do hope future editions of D&D follow this method or something similar. So you've got the 𝙤𝙤𝙘𝙤𝙪𝙧𝙫, you've got Axolotl. Awakened Armor it looks like a culture about our ancestry that you can take. A Basilisker, a Fairy, a Lapine, a Magman, Pitspawn, Quasit, Pandan, Ranamudo, Rustkin, Spinequill, Swankin, Tricerans. I mean, there's a bunch. I'm just touching on some of them that you can pick here, but it's really, really cool to have so many options. And I'm sure if you get the bundle, you're going to have just endless options of ones to play with here. So we'll look at one of them in a minute, but I'm just doing a quick scroll so you can see, like, the Beaver folk here, Capybaran, Chimeri. I mean, so many options. Yeah, and you get to see 30 pages of this, so you get to see almost the whole book before you purchase it. So if you're curious about the Alkin or the method or any of these races, you can read through and see. I shouldn't say races; they're ancestries and cultures, but races in quotes, meaning like collectively they would form what traditionally in 5th edition is called a race. We're going to move away from that hopefully in future editions, but I'm not sure they've settled on a name. They've started calling it species, but I don't know if that's going to stick. So anyway, I'm just going to say races in quotes. So let's look at the Axolotl folk. It says Axolotl folk are a distant relative to salamandrites, who are people resembling humanoid salamanders who originate on the elemental plane of fire. Axolotl folk, on the other hand, originate on the elemental plane of water. Whether the two peoples have a common ancestor is unknown. Also, unlike their fiery cousins, the Axolotl folk were never part of an invasion force. Instead, they peacefully migrated to the material plane in recent centuries. And it says the beasts known as axolotls are amphibians. They resemble humanoid axolotls. They have smooth, rubbery skin, wide faces, long bodies, and short limbs, as well as a tail. And then it gives you the age, size, speed, which again, some of the newer D&D quote unquote races don't always give you age anymore. So it's nice to have that here. Size. It says they're shorter and lighter weight than humans, being more like gnomes in size. So you're small. You get a 25-foot walking speed, or 25 feet, I should say. Amphibious, you can breathe air and water. They're regenerative. Axolotl folk have a remarkable ability to regenerate tissue. As long as you have more than 0 hit points, you regain 1 hit point an hour. This healing process can regrow lost limbs through regrowing a limb, though regrowing a limb progresses at a rate of about 1 inch a day. So it'd take a while, but that's kind of cool. You can role play that. Oh, look, your tail is getting longer since it got cut off by that monster, or bitten off, or whatever. And then so that's the ancestral traits. So if you have DNA basically from axolotl. That's what you would get. So if you pick that as your ancestry, then if you pick it also as your cultural, then this is what it says. It says axolotl folk communities are exceedingly rare, as most axolotl folk who have arrived on the material plane have come alone or in very small groups. When they do form communities, however, they usually arise in or on the shores of freshwater lakes and warmer climates, where they typically rely on fishing for survival. So you get an ability score increase. Disposition says those who grew up among axolotl folk and their community do not favor any particular disposition. Watery awareness. Ancestral axolotl folk have taught their communities how to sharpen their senses in water, and on land you have proficiency in perception. And then you can speak, read, and write Common and Aquan. So what's cool about this is it says, they don't have any particular disposition, but that means something that Wizards has moved away from, that some of these cultural traits could give you a disposition, a personality, which is interesting and makes sense, right? Because this is just your cultural. So it's like nature versus nurture, or like environmental versus sort of hereditary. So like environment, like if you grew up in an axolotl folk culture, what would your disposition be? It sounds like they don't have anything that really changes their disposition because their communities are rare, but other ones might. So that could be interesting to play as well. But what I love most about this system is that you can mix and match. So you can have the ancestral traits from the axolotl and then cultural traits from somewhere else. And with 4 different books, and there's 31 in this one. So imagine, multiplying that by the 4 books, you're going to have so many mix and match opportunities. Obviously, the DM is going to have a say as to which ones are even possible, because a setting may not have axolotl. It's really up to the DM to allow it or not, right? But still, even if the DM allowed 1 book, that's 31 potential starting pieces to combine with, right? And you multiply that, it gets really cool. So you can really pick and choose. Maybe you go for what you want your character to have in terms of abilities, or maybe you go from what you want your character to have from a story point of view, whichever way you want to go. Maybe pick one from a story point of view and one from mechanically, right? So splitting quote unquote races into 2 pieces is really, really nice, because it gives you that opportunity, and I love it. And I love seeing third-party creators experiment with quote-unquote races. I think it's great for Wizards to see that there are better options out there, and so this is one of the series doing that, and I love it. So check it out. It's under Further Ancestries and Cultures in the links below. Give it a click. Next we have One-Eyed Werebear Presents Tome of Taverns, and it's $10.04 on sale, normally $14.99. It's 111 pages, and it says over 100 pages with pure delight. It contains everything you need to meet you have the you meet in a tavern, and turn that into a saga of mischief and mayhem for everyone at your table. You can bring your next tavern experience to life with a host of vivid locations, vivacious NPCs, crafty character options, wild and wonderful carousing experiences, and plentiful player prompts. So 13 unique and developed taverns, 17 detailed tavern maps, stat blocks for 8 new and unique creatures. There's a standalone adventure called You Wine Some, You Booze Some. There's 4 new subclasses and 6 backgrounds, as well as 6 mini games and 30 plus magic items, potions, and ales. So this has got everything you could need for taverns, it sounds like. And who doesn't need a tavern? You can't, unless you're playing more modern, and even then you could probably use, a pub or something, right? So you pretty much need tavern information at all times on hand, in case you have to find a tavern, make a tavern, whatever. So we're going to look inside. It's a little bit of a different look when we switch to the interior, because it's a publisher preview. So just FYI. I like publisher previews though, because you can see more detail, I think. But you've got all these chapters that shows you some of the different taverns. Like there's the Amber Scales Lounge, the Bear and the Kilt, Eldritch Arms, Rose Garden, the Rook and Raven, Notley's Negotiations, etc. And then the mini games, the adventure, the player options, all that stuff. There's even feats in here. That's cool. So yeah, you get some fun flavor text, how to use the book, and then you get into some of the actual lounges or taverns that have been detailed. So this is the Amber Scales Lounge. It says a strange establishment situated off the beaten path. The Amber Scales Lounge is built onto a large pond. Its patio extends on stilts over the water. Its all-wood exterior is decorated with swamp vines and flowers that reflect its lizard folk owner's colorful heritage. Inside, the lounge is bright and inviting with intricately carved tables and chairs spread throughout the cozy room. A large bar dominates one side, and the air is filled with the scent of exotic spices and the sound of bubbling brews. A well-used piano is available for musicians or eager customers to give live performances. The pond outside is lively with all manner of birds, turtles, fish, and the strange pint-sized dragonettes that freely roam the area. It says small, squat, and seemingly everywhere wander the dragonettes. They are a strange hybrid of dragon, a bird, and a large lizard. So that's cool. And there's some more history on it. I'm just skipping forward here to give you some little tastes of what's in here. Bogbelly's antics. A squat swamp green dragonette nicknamed Bogbelly by the staff becomes overexcited and starts crashing around the patio, sending tables, chairs, and customers into the muddy pond. Patrons scramble to get out of the way as the staff desperately tries to calm the creature down. Two patrons argue over a rare and coveted ale, leading to a scuffle. 𝙭, the owner, steps in to resolve the situation, offering a contest of dice to determine the rightful owner of the limited edition ale. And then you get some of the eccentric people there, and then some scuttlebutt. So it said 𝙭built the Amber Scales Lounge atop an ancient submerged lizard folk temple where the dragonettes entered through a long forgotten portal to another realm. And here's your dragonette, which is a small dragon creature. Stat block CR14. Dragonettes love to eat anything and everything. Don't go wandering or fall into the pond, or they'll treat you like lunch. So fun stuff. And then you've got Ale Scale Lizard Folk Brewmaster. So that's a CR1. And then you get a map where you can see the pond and little sort of platforms where there's tables to dine, which I think is a really cool setup. So much could happen here. I think this would be a really good home base for a party. You got Notley's Negotiations. So you can just see 28 pages of this stuff, all the different taverns and different clientele that they've got. This one has a whole section on a framework for dancing, how to do it. It says dance with a partner, providing a type of skill challenge with which players might impress their dance partner or an observer, create a distraction, insert themselves inconspicuously into a social setting, lose themselves in a crowd of dancers, build up social capital, or simply have fun. So that's so cool. And it shows asking the partner to dance. You do a persuasion check. Roll to lift your dance partner. That's an athletics check. Roll to execute an agile step or dance move. That's an acrobatics check. So all these different checks that you can do to have, like, to simulate dancing with a partner, which I think could be really fun. And then here's Roll the Bones, which is a dice game, a mini game, dueling. I mean, tons of stuff in here, I really think. And then there's magic items with the Brass Dragon Brooch, which is rare. The Dice of Bad Luck, uncommon. Eye Patch of Sight, rare. Mask of Madness, very rare. And the Decanter of Limited Wine, which is uncommon. So get 5 magic items. I mean, this book is just really good in the sense that it's got a grab bag of things for you to do. I mean, so many things. 111 pages, and you get to read a ton of it before you purchase. I can't imagine that you would buy this and not find use inside. There's just so many things, and it's on sale for $10. So I think it's a good time to grab this. So look for it in the links below under One-Eyed Werebear Presents Tome of Taverns, and give it a click. Next we have Tanares RPG for 5e, Player's Guide to Tanares from Dragori Games, $29 for 320 pages. And it says, step into a world of adventure with the Player's Guide to Tanares, your gateway to the thrilling world of Tanares. This book is your key to unlocking endless possibilities, designed to work seamlessly with all official 5th edition material, so you can dive right in and start playing. It says, your game master is the ultimate guide, ensuring that fun is at the forefront of everything you do. Here, the GM reigns supreme with the power to interpret and adapt the rules as needed to make your game fair and fun. No set of rules can encompass every possibility that can arise in the story, and everyone has their own unique vision of what is logical or consistent. The open-ended nature of the game means that the rules should be seen as flexible, not rigid. But each piece of content in this book has been crafted with the utmost care and attention to detail. Your GM will have the final say on what is approved for use in your game, ensuring that everyone at the table has a great time. So not much in that description about the book itself, but there's a trailer here for you to watch as well. This was on Kickstarter, and there's actually a number of books that you can get for the Tanares RPG, and the artwork is really, really good. So we're going to look inside. The free full-size preview isn't working, so we're going to zoom in on the quick preview so we can see. But this is just the player book. They have, GM books, etc., coming, I'm sure, to drive through at some point. So you've got all these different races, and then you've got classes, including the Dragon Blade, the Elementalist, the Mad Walker, and the Redeemer. Then you've got some simplified classes, which is like scaled down versions of the normal classes. Then you've got subclasses for like the traditional classes, like Path of the Brutal Hunter, Path of the Penumbra for Barbarian. You've got the College of Life for the Bard. You've got the Death Knight for the Fighter, the Arcane Guardian for the Ranger, the Ninja for the Rogue, etc. Backgrounds from the Cartographer all the way to the Undercover. New feats, spells, and then optional rules for like flying mounts and teams and legendary rewards. So much stuff in here. So you get to find out about the world of Tanares and religions. So we'll just read a little bit about the world. It says, welcome to Tanares, a high fantasy world that blends familiar high fantasy elements with unique twists, inviting players to embark on a deep world of magic, eldritch aberrations, and intrigue. In Tanares, heroes create their own legends, shaping the course of history. Factions composed by alliances of kingdoms and organizations vie for power across the diverse lands of Tanares, and heroes must navigate a complex and intricate political landscape. The Malrakian curse, an ungodly affliction that prevents open warfare and large-scale armed conflict, forces all factions and kingdoms to avoid war to prevent a massive cataclysm from ravaging the continent. As a result, heroes and adventurers have become the most valuable resources in the world, with their allegiances and actions playing a critical role in the destiny of Tanares. From Stravian's merry, food-loving halflings to Svetson's fierce orc tribes and the fallen mystical kingdom's ancient dungeons, Tanares welcomes adventurers of all stripes. This world is full of incredible magic, including the ability to move entire cities, and boasts powerful warriors and enchanted armor and kingdoms ruled by legendary figures. And it says, the Malrakian curse. Tanares is a world bound by the Malrakian curse, a powerful force that has shaped its fate for generations. The curse originated from the conflict between the gods and the ungods, malevolent beings that feed on the sins, negative emotions, and corrupted souls of mortals. Whenever mortals engage in war, the surge of corrupted souls empowers the ungods, unleashing a chain of events that results in widespread destruction so huge that it can wipe entire civilizations. To prevent this, the gods issued a decree urging mortals to avoid war at all costs. The curse of the ungods created a danger that shaped the very fabric of Tanares. The people of Tanares have learned to resolve their differences without waging wars, through the arenas where disputes are settled by duels, and through the empire and old evolutionist church, which strive to prevent wars. So you've got all kinds of factions going on here, all kinds of things happening. And in this, it's a really big world, and there's some beautiful art in here from artists, not AI. It's artists working on this book, including, look at the stunning cover. And yeah, it was a big Kickstarter. There were I think 3 volumes they had, and I think there's a GM one as well as one other book potentially. I maybe it's misremembering, but I remember it being beautiful and very popular. So hopefully the other volumes will be coming to drive through as well. But in the meantime, you should get this. There's so much in it for all parts of the game involving the players, whether it's spells or subclasses or new classes or races. It's all in here. So look for it under Tanares RPG for 5e in the links below and give it a click. Next, we have That Time I Was an Orc Husband, an LGBTQ plus adventure. It's by Ever After Print and Cindy Paul, $3.99 for 40 pages. It's written for a level 3 party. It says, oh no, the local priest has been kidnapped by orcs. Obviously, you're going to save him, but the orcs don't want to eat the priest. The orc leader wants to take him to the annual orc summit as his husband. There's only one thing you could do. Take the priest's place and become an orc husband. Will you survive the orc summit, and will you be a good husband? So it says it's got a bunch of lovable LGBTQ plus orcs, an NPC from their 35 queer NPC book, full color custom art, fun mix of roleplay, gameplay, and combat, and there's even a tiny heist and a love to hate him enemy called Gaston. So looking inside, it looks really cool with the artwork in here. You've got this character Rain here. You can see 5 pages, and then this Jean-Louis character. So really, really nice artwork. And here's the Gaston character I mentioned, is the Orc Summit. But I'm going to scroll back up and read a little bit of the early flavor text so you can see kind of how the adventure starts. It says, a young man with a panicked expression runs toward you. His short black hair stands up in multiple places as if he's been running his hands through it. I'm so glad I found you. You're adventurers, aren't you? I really, really need your help. I wanted to impress the man I'm in love with, but I'm just a simple guy. That's why I hired a group of bandits to kidnap him so I could rescue him and win his heart. But the bandits want more money, which I don't have, and now they're actually keeping him hostage. Yeah, that is not a good situation. But it's kind of cute in the sense that, you know, this guy was trying to do something interesting for his relationship, and it went sideways. And so that's not your typical hook, right? It's not typically some sort of relationship occasion going sideways. So I like that. And then it gives you like the details behind the scenes. So I don't want to spoil any of those. But I'll read another flavor text so you can get a feel for the writing, which seems pretty good. As you approach the camp, it's immediately clear that the 5 humanoids sitting around the campfire are not the bandits who swindled poor lovesick Dylan. They are much larger, with gray skin and sharp tusks. One orc in particular is very large and imposing, with bulging muscles and bone earrings. But your gaze snatches on the handsome human sitting beside the large orc. The young man is wearing priest's robes, and his hands are bound, and his mouth is covered with a piece of cloth. He looks very much like a captive. So this is the priest that we were reading about in the catalog page. So cool stuff. I think the writing is nice. No typos that I'm seeing. Reads really easily. I had no trouble reading it. So I'm sure a DM would have no trouble as well. But I love all the characters. I love the concept. I think it could be really just fun and light and entertaining. I mean, not every adventure needs to be like death. There's death coming. Everybody's going to die. It doesn't always have to be so dark. Why not have a good laugh and fun and have some sort of love-focused adventures as well? And this seems like it could be a really good time. I'm not sure if it's just a one-shot or if it's a campaign. I'm sure it depends on you and what you want to do. But in any case, I think it's going to be memorable. So look for it under That Time I Was an Orc Husband in the links below and give it a click. Next, we have Through the Veil, Monsters of the Feywild by a whole host of people, including Elise Cretell, and it is $19.95 for 205 pages. So this is a lot of pages and a lot of people involved to share their passion with you for Dungeons and Dragons, and so that's really cool. And this is part of a series they've done. I don't know if it's all the same people, but I know Elise Cretell and others have been involved in the past editions. So you can see those down here. There's some tales in the Feywild, in the Through the Veil series, and there's also treasures of magic items, little adventures, etc. But this one is focused on monsters. So it's, over 200 pages of monsters. So there's Winter Baron Frost Knights who are prepared for a battle at a moment's notice, the Mantis Queen and the roguish Mies and her court of thorns and insects, the Candiosaurus stomping around the Sugarlands, get caught in the living blizzard with ice and snow elementals. There's the Dream Collector who collects memories from those who dream to aid their collection. Lose your sense of time after a run-in with the time-weaving spider. I mean, so much stuff. And you can mix this with all the other Feywild stuff out there. Wild Beyond the Witchlight, etc. Or make your own Feywild adventure. And even though these creatures are for the Feywild, there's nothing stopping you from putting them somewhere else. So you have those options as well. And you can see it's gorgeously illustrated, as all of the books in this series have been so beautifully done as well. So we need to support those now more than ever, because there's a lot of books coming out where it's just AI art wall to wall, right? And maybe even some AI writing. So, when people are pouring their personal money into producing these books, it's we got to support it, because if we don't, and we just get overwhelmed by AI titles, I mean, these kind of creators are going to disappear. So make sure you're thinking about that when you are considering purchasing stuff. But anyway, looking at this book, I mean, look at this beautiful table of contents, all these creatures. So it starts with the 𝙤𝙘𝙬𝙧𝙬𝙀, and probably butchered the pronunciation of that, all the way down to the Fey-molded zombie. So A to Z of monsters. You can see tons and tons of options, and there's a whole section of NPCs, including one that I love the name of, 𝙤𝙬𝙧𝙀. That sounds fun. And the Toad in the Hole. And then you've got some familiars with a battle corgi, a glade kid, a taki, a water horse, etc. So cool. But yeah, we're getting to see 9 of those pages. So there's several interesting options here. There's a butterfly queen called Alana, and she is a CR20, so quite a dangerous enemy. She's got psychedelic butterflies. She's got a deadly butterfly kiss, it looks like. So this is a swarm of colorful butterflies appears and flutters in a flurry in a 20-foot radius. Dust from the delicate wings fills the air. Everyone in the area must make a con saving throw. On a failure, creatures feel disoriented and are stunned. On their turn, they can make a con saving throw. On a success, they are no longer stunned or remain stunned or they can remain stunned on a failure. And then the butterfly kiss. It says a large butterfly is conjured with a 120 feet radius of the butterfly queen and exhales a poisonous cloud in a 10 feet radius. Creatures within the cloud must make a con save or take poison damage. And then there's some other abilities like the caterpillar climb and stuff, but it says scores of sandal-clad feet move in tandem as blades sparking with green flames masterfully swirl around the roses of her floral gown. Fierce black orbs of the butterfly queen's eyes shine behind the flames of her 4 swords. The flames illuminate green skin and a floral crown. The butterfly queen towers over many with a height of 12 feet, with her caterpillar torso hidden beneath her flowing floral gowns. She is a humanoid from the waist up with 6 arms, which wield 4 swords and 2 spellcasting focuses. And she has a 20-foot wingspan of butterfly wings which shimmer with a rainbow of colors. She has 2 little buttons on her forehead instead of a full antenna. And then she has a lair with lair actions. But look at this cool artwork for this butterfly queen, Alana. Yeah, that looks really cool. So again, really nice artwork in here. There's almost as many artists as there were authors on this book, it looks like. So again, you're going to be supporting all these folks by purchasing books like this, which is more and more important with all this AI competition sort of taking up space in the marketplace. There is an alpha blink dog as well. And it says it's a large Fey, and it is a fairly rare specimen among its species, but common enough that most Fey have at least seen or heard of one. Powerful Fey often tame them as a sign of status. It's a CR6. It says they are considerably bigger than the rest of their brethren, comparable to a dire wolf. They are just as swift as their lesser kin, but much more resilient and strong. Furthermore, they are able to call upon a pack of blink dogs to its aid, all of whom are compelled to bow to the alpha's unique magical authority. So yeah, they've got the call of the pack ability, so they can summon 2d4 other blink dogs. Yeah, I love this. I think there's so much in here to incorporate into your Feywild or Fey area. You know, a lot of times there's a portal to the Feywild, right? And so it's usually two ways. So these things can spill into the material plane either permanently or temporarily, or as I said, you can place them in other places. But you know, we have all these domains of delight now, because that concept was introduced with Wild Beyond the Witchlight. So you can populate your domain of delight that the party's going to visit in the Feywild however you want. So having a book with tons and tons of monsters, I'm not sure the total number of monsters, but I mean, when we were looking at that table of contents, it was a lot. A to Z. So there's a ton in here. So I definitely think it's worth the $19.95. And again, you're going to be supporting so many great folks with that purchase. And I mean, look at this gorgeous cover. So beautiful. And that's indicative of everything in this series. Always looks so beautiful. So check out the other ones too, which you can get to by clicking the link for this one and then scrolling down. But first, you need to look for Through the Veil, Monsters of the Feywild in the links below and give it a click. Next, we got Void Dwellers by Studio Wedgie, $4.99 on sale instead of $9.99 normally. It's 30 pages, and it says, immerse yourself in their lore and discover the intricate secrets that define the Void Dwellers. From their elusive nature to their formidable abilities, each page invites you to delve deeper into the very essence of their being, unlock the door to a universe of uncharted terrors. Whether you're a seasoned adventurer or a curious scholar, this guide will ignite your imagination. You get 8 different subtypes of Void Dweller. These aberrations and their associated stat blocks will give your heroes plenty of challenges. So this is basically a bunch of monsters that are variations of the Void Dwellers, which is cool. And you can see, you know, they've got kind of this 𝙤𝙤𝙘𝙀 look to them. So that's really cool. You've got the Dominant Mind, the Overseer, the Void Hunter, all the way down to the Star Traveler. So tons of options. And here's the Dominant Mind. That looks so cool. Look at that artwork for the Dominant Mind. And the Overseer and the Void Hunter. I mean, so much good artwork in here. So let's read a little bit about the Dominant Mind. It says, the Void Dweller species is ruled by the Dominant Mind. It is the combined voice of all Void Dwellers, yet also a separate entity. The comparison with the Queen Bee is the closest we can come to understanding it. There's no way to tell how many of these Dominant Minds exist in the Void Dweller race, but each one of them maintains a substantial community, a hive on its own. It rules with a single voice. There is no disobedience because there is no selfhood. It does not control the Void Dweller species. It is the Void Dweller species. Going against the Dominant Mind as a Void Dweller is akin to expecting your arm to have independent thoughts. So interesting. I like that. And then you've got the Overseer, and I think the stat blocks are at the end, based on what I'm seeing. Or maybe this is an edited sample that skips pages. I'm not sure. So then you have the Overseer. The Dominant Minds are incapable of moving on their own accord because of this, they rely on proxies. These are known as overseers and are the most powerful of all Void Dwellers. They are the leaders and can operate independently or command a hive of lesser Void Dwellers. Overseers have the ability to work detached from the other Void Dwellers and the Dominant Mind. This means they have some sort of free will. However, they're driven by an incessant desire to please the Dominant Mind and connect with it. From what I understand, is that the longer an Overseer is disconnected from the Dominant Mind, the more agony they undergo. Okay, so they don't want to get too disconnected. Yeah, so this is interesting to have all these things, you know, sort of Mind Flayer, 𝙤𝙘𝙀 background information. I mean, that's what these Void Dwellers are very much like. So you can take the place of those or supplement those. Maybe they're related to the Mind Flayers, however you want to do it, but it looks so cool. Really enjoyed the artwork. It looks like it's by Wendy Altman. And yeah, this looks like it could be really fun for people looking for something different with all these variations. I mean, there's 8 different variations, so you can really make this world stand out. So look for it under Void Dwellers in the links below and give it a click. Next, we have the Weird Prospectus Volume 1 for Dungeon Crawl Classics, which is 3.5 edition, basically. And it's from Hex and Bones Tabletop Club, $4.99 for 40 pages. And it says it's a short volume for populating adventures and encounters and hexes in the land of Blackrock. This volume contains a short beginner's adventure, a weird dungeon dive, 3 additional hex encounters, 11 magic items, and 3 NPCs that can all be dropped into your existing world to add a dash of strange to your games. The adventure in this volume, The Failed Phylactery, is a short excursion into a blunderous wizard's tower. The wizard 𝙁𝙗𝙗 found a spell tome when he was a child and has spent his entire life unsuccessfully attempting to master its contents. This adventure was written with beginner players and game masters in mind and is designed to be a very low prep session, great for introducing new players to an existing system or for checking out the new system. And it works well with lower level play. There's a 1-page dungeon, the prison tomb of the Mesmer Frog as well. Items, encounters, NPCs, all sorts of good stuff. And Ryan Groff did some interior illustrations, which when I was looking at this originally, really liked, and still like. They look great. You can see the maps here of the tower with the 3 different levels, and then you get sort of this side view, which is cool. Cutaway look. I love the little slime on the wall there. And then here's an exterior. So all these different angles, I really appreciate the different angles you're getting. It says here's the rumor table. So the first one is a fledgling wizard, 𝙁𝙗𝙗, was shunned by a small village for practicing and frequently failing at magic. Another one is a man bat and his pet giant beetle have nested in the abandoned tower, guarding and hoarding a great powerful artifact. And so then there's some flavor text, and again these cute little maps that you can use to see. Here's tower level 1. You can see the slime sort of walls. Says, or this is, that's tower level 1. It says the cellar. You enter a dark, wet cellar. In the center of the room, there's a small fire pit with metal piping running to the ceiling, then over to the west wall for ventilation. On the westmost wall, there's an ornate writing desk with papers haphazardly scattered about. To the east, there's a crude wooden bed covered by a tattered burlap blanket. You hear scrambling and chittering noises from under the desk. That doesn't sound good. The chittering noises, you got to be careful. And it tells you what you find there, what's under the desk. Yeah, this seems really low prep. I like it. Everything's sort of spelled out here, as long as you have Dungeon Crawl Classics or some other resource you're going to use for all the things referenced here. Approaching the tower, you see the wizard's tower atop a sparse, dead, yet still overgrown hillside. Thorns and brambles pollute the trail to the bunkhouse at the base of the tower. You're overwhelmed by a foul and rotting stench that hangs in the air. You skillfully bob and weave through the brambles and find hand-painted signs on rotting wood posts heavily aged by weather all around the tower. The signs read, "Blasphemer, Witchman, Accursed, and Wizard of Blunders." So yeah, they don't... 𝙁𝙗𝙗 the Dumb is one of those, so they're being kind of mean to this wizard who's caused a lot of problems. So very, very cool. I don't know if you can hear my cats going crazy in the background. They must like this book as well. Anyway, I think this is fun. I think these images are cute. I think it's going to be low prep. Really cool concept of just this wizard that's a mess. Can't figure it out, and what are you going to do about it? Are you going to clean it up? And there's a wall of slime and all kinds of stuff. So look for it under Weird Prospectus Volume 1 in the links below and give it a click. All right, now we come to that part of the program where we just give some shout outs to some other new releases that came out recently that we just don't have time to take a deep dive into. So first up, we have 5e Foes Gothic Villains. It's $10 on sale, normally $14.95 for 175 pages. And as the title suggests, you're going to get NPCs and villains with this book. Next, we have Ars Mechanica, Skies of Heavy Shadows. It's $6 for 60 pages, and it's an adventure for levels 6 to 9. Then we've got Cavern Crawls, number 15, The Stolen Herd. It's an adventure for level 5. It's VTT also, so you get some good maps and tokens for that. $2.99 for 6 pages. Then we've got Dante's Guide to Hell Monster Manual, and it is 124 pages for $12.99. $95, and of course it's going to give you monsters, and they're connected to hell, which is great for Planescape. We've also got Giants of the Icebound Citadel, which is an adventure for level 13. It's 13 pages with a suggested price of $1. Then we've got LPS3 Lopangan Campaign Companion with a suggested price of $1.50 for 29 pages, and it's for Forgotten Realms or Mastika. It's a setting with items and spells. Then we've got the Planner Circus, which is $3.99 for 607 pages. That's quite a lot. It's for OSR. It's basically a setting, NPCs, and again, Planescape is coming, so this could be helpful for that as well. Then we've got Rygo's Register of Roguish Quests, $4 for the PDF. You can get a soft cover for $8.95 or both for $11.95. It's 52 pages, and this book is focused on factions and hooks, and it's system neutral. So whether you play OSR or 5e, you're covered here. Then we've got Scaled Encounters Volume 2, which is for OSR, and it's focused on encounters. It's a suggested price of $1.99 for 48 pages. And then we've got Space Station M, which is on sale for $10. Normally it looks like $19.99, and it's 32 pages, and it's for both 5th edition and 3.5 edition with lots of monsters. Then we've got Tavern Basics for players and GMs, and it is $1 for 10 pages, and of course it covers taverns. It's got mini games and a rogue subclass. Then we've got Trinkets of Xiao Lung, which is $1.25 for 11 pages, and it focuses on trinkets all connected to Kara-Tur and Forgotten Realms. Then we've got Ultimate Character Options Volume 1, which is for 4th edition. Make sure you heard that correctly, 4th edition, and it's $8.99 for 100 pages. So if you're looking for themes or feats for 4th edition, this is a good option. Then we've got Vermicelli Surprise, or Vermicelli Surprise, I guess is how you'd say it. It's $1.50, and it's 13 pages, and it is a Curse of Strahd encounter. So it's for Ravenloft, it's for level 6. And lastly, we have Willow's Guide to Feykind, which is $7, which includes races, spells, and a wizard subclass in the 30 pages that it offers. Well, thanks so much for watching. Please subscribe to the channel and share the video with your friends so we can get more eyeballs on these third-party books that come out, and people can get to know that there's lots of great content coming out all the time to support their tables. And as usual, please like the video, leave me a comment. For the algorithm, I will respond to all those comments personally, and click those links in the video description so you can support all these awesome creators we've talked about today and the channel, because through a small affiliate fee with every purchase, even if it's a book we didn't talk about, you are helping us out, and we really do appreciate when you do your shopping with us. So if you can bookmark one of our links and then use that to go to these sites, that's even more help. And we've also got 7 books we've already released, so you can check those out at splinterverse.com or in the video description links. And we've got 2 books coming through a Kickstarter later this year, so you want to make sure you follow us everywhere at Splinterverse so you can be the first to find out about that epic setting that is coming your way. So thank you so much for watching and taking this journey with me and supporting all these awesome creators. I really appreciate it. And until next time, happy adventuring.